Hi there, welcome to another edition of DesignSpark Ask the Expert. Today we're going to be talking to TE Connectivity and Zhao Wang. We're going to be talking about the infrastructure behind EV charging, power delivery, and safety. Zhao, do you want to say hello to DesignSpark?
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Zhao, and currently I'm responsible for strategy and business development for battery energy storage and also EV charging infrastructure inside of T Connectivity. Nice to meet you today.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us. I really do appreciate you taking the time. I just want to start briefly between the differences in the charging infrastructures that people will come across. So, for example, we have AC charging and we have DC charging. Now, I just want to address what are the fundamental differences between AC and DC charging. Obviously, there's time, power. You've got the environment, home, office, off-site charging stations. Can you just tell me a little bit more information about those, please?
Okay, yes. Thank you for the question, Greg. I think that you have correctly mentioned if we talk about the difference between AC charging and DC charging, and of course, the most obvious difference is basically in terms of the charging power range, right? So when we talk about AC chargers, usually we're talking about the charging power range, which is starting from, for example, 3 kilowatts up to 22 kilowatts. And usually it's AC, so alternative current. And for the DC charging stations, we're talking about the charging power, which is much higher. So usually we're talking about charging power starting from 50 kilowatts up to even 500 kilowatts, depending on the system. It's normal fast charging or super fast charging. And then, of course, if you look at about the usage of this kind of charging equipment for the AC chargers, usually it has been, manufactured as a charging box or a charging pipe, which can be used mainly like for the residential. So you can actually install a charging box at home at your garage for the private charging, and it can actually even, let's say, charge your car overnight. And then for the DC charging, it's mainly used for the public charging stations, right? So, for example, there are like for DC charging, of course, it has been let's say exclusively used for the public charging. Of course, for the AC chargers, they're partially residential and also partially the public ones. So for the AC, actually, it has a wider let's say market segment. But for DC charger, because actually due to the reason that people really want to have their car charged in a short time, so we're talking about something from 5 minutes to 50 minutes. So in that case, it's really like it suits to the needs of the customer side, which is basically when they are on road. So for some kind of a really opportunity charging and for the long trips and so on. So that is basically the purpose behind of the DC charging stations. And then, of course, if we look at about the complexity of the equipment, we could say that for AC charger, it's relatively simple because it's a electronic box. When you open it, you will see some, for example, the most important one is basically control unit, which is a PCB board. And then you will have some additional wiring and cables and switches and so on. And for the DC charging station, the system is much more complicated because actually it serves for a much higher power range, and then you have to also convert the voltage already from AC to DC before you feed it into the car, right? So inside of DC charging stations, you will find already a lot of subsystems like inverters, like AC/DC inverters, different power modules depend on the power rating of this DC charging station. And then you will have the control panel, which means basically you will have a lot of electronic components for the circuit protection and also for the power distribution and also for the, in many cases also filter functionalities for the EMC regulations. So in terms of the content and also the value of the DC charging station, it's much, much higher compared to AC charging. That is the difference here.
Yeah. So I was going to start to bring in about the DC charging stations because, unlike AC charging, with DC charging stations, you're bypassing the onboard charger and you're charging straight into the battery itself, which just on the face of it sounds a lot less complicated. But what you just mentioned there's a lot more to actually be considered in terms of the integrity and the safety. But I guess obviously, you talk there, the main difference coming in the power delivery. So for example, a DC power station is converting AC into DC and then delivering a much big power load to the battery. So you briefly touched on it there within the charging stations. What needs to be considered from a product perspective and perhaps safety?
That's a great question, Greg. So yes, of course, I think you touched a very important question. So basically, for those kind of DC charging stations, since we're uh, talking about very high voltage and high current rating equipment, so and it is also a public accessible equipment because actually consumers will go there and use this equipment to charging their cars daily, right? So in that case, actually, public safety becomes very, very important and critical for those kind of equipment. And so for that purpose, actually, I think there are like different considerations from the OEM point of view. When they work on this kind of equipment, they need to think about really to make it safe and let's say accessible to the consumers. So as I just mentioned already, also a little bit in from the first question, it's about really what is inside of electronic cabinet. So there are lots of let's say considerations and components working in that way in order to satisfy these kind of needs, right? So it's about the power distribution. So we have this kind of terminal blocks. It's really make it let's say the connections of the power. So inverter modules to be connected and power will be, let's say, grouped and split in a very safe way by using this kind of terminal blocks. And then in terms of also the electrical circuit, then in order to really, let's say, control the circuit in a safe way, so by using a much lower current, let's say, equipment to control a whole circuit. And there is some very important elements like pre-charge resistors and DC contactors. Those kind of equipment or those kind of components can really make the let's say electric circuit in a very safe way when the electric circuit is switches on. So basically the charging station is working. And besides that, and of course we are also thinking about, for example, the opening and closing this kind of equipment for the maintenance purpose, right? So usually that's I mean, sometimes it happens that you need to send some technicians or some, let's say, a technical person to go there to check this out. And then, of course, in that case, those kind of, let's say, emergency stops and also some kind of safety switches will be very important to really give the additional assurance to the installers or technicians to open and closing this kind of equipment in a very let's say a secure way. So there are multiple different considerations already during the design phase and also the manufacturing phase about what kind of, let's say, safety function will be needed for those kind of charging stations. And of course, from the, let's say, system level and also from the component level, we have really, let's say, done a lot of considerations and works to put this into really the first layer of consideration in order to guarantee the safety for the consumers and for the installers. So this is basically the current case.
Okay, thanks for that. It's apparent to me, and I may have mentioned this to one of your colleagues on a previous interview, that wherever we're looking at applications, T-connectivity are really those kind of hidden hero products. They're what keep everything connected, make everything work. Communication is key. So in the interest of, we're looking at AC and DC charging applications, what are the main elements where we will find your products? And in terms of just AC and DC, what are we talking about maybe in the difference in operation size and cost, for example?
Okay. So thank you for the question. In terms of what we do or what we offer from TE side, actually, I can actually summarize into several, let's say, key points. So Actually, when we think about what we offer from TE, we always put first the consideration what is basically the customer needs, right, from the market point of view. So in that case, actually we have grouped actually our product offering into three key customer needs for those kind of EV charging infrastructures. So they are first, of course, the power management.
Mm-hmm.
There is a need of power management. If you think about actually the power charging power rating is actually increasing from AC to DC. And secondly, it's about the safety consideration, safety and reliability of the functionality of this equipment.
Yeah.
And third thing is about the smart functionality, because nowadays, if we think about also the charging stations and the infrastructure in general, we are more and more moving into that direction of the smart charging and smart grid and smart energy in general. So it is actually very important from smart functionality point of view. So I will actually give you a little bit more detailed information in terms of what are the key product offering from each areas of these three key points. And in terms of power supply, so basically we have a quite comprehensive portfolio in terms of really how to actually split the power and grouping the power and terminate the power. So basically we have, for example, the product like power supplier, power supplies, and also the distribution blocks. And so by using all of these kind of equipment, and also plus the cable splices and cable glances and so on. So in terms of the energy management and cable management, by using all of this kind of, let's say, products from the point of view, actually you can have a very organized and systematic way and also safe way in order to really manage the cables and energy which is going through the charging station. And secondly, if we look at about the safety and also the reliability. So this is basically the thing that we have already touched in the previous topic, right? So from this side, we are offering also a lot of elements which is regarding to really the circuit protection and also, for example, the safety stops and emergency stops and also for example, the let's say reliability of the product in general. And this is basically what we are offering also as one of the key elements in order to satisfy the market needs. And the third thing, which is about smart functionality. So another thing we really, let's say, focused on and we want to really give some value-added product to the customer is about the elements which could enable the smart functionality. For example, like in the charging stations, you will need antennas to really collecting the signals. You will need also signal connectors on the PCB board. You will need also the sensors to really detect about the current and voltages, and also you will need meters to monitoring about energy, let's say, consumptions and so on. And all of those kind of, let's say, products that we are also offering from the side to really enable you to have a much more smart charging and also bidirectional charging for this industry. So just to sum up, I think that from T side, of course, that we are always put the customer need at in front when we think about anything which is basically in terms of the developing of the new product and also the co-engineering and co-design with the customers. And our goal is basically to really, let's say, strive to, let's say, deliver better and a safer and reliable and more smart products into the market and for our customers. So this is basically the current situation.
Fantastic. And you picked up there on product integrity and reliability. So, when it comes to infrastructure, those two they go hand in hand. Infrastructure open to public usage, for example, has to be reliable. The product integrity needs to be there, and TE with years and years of experience, this is your bread and butter, so to speak. So TE's approach to that is really really interesting. What I'd like to maybe just talk about is maybe additional areas where TE offer support to users. For example, is there any any other areas we can point to? Are there any other services or, guides or application notes, for example, on EV?
That's a brilliant question, Greg. Yes, this is something that actually I think you really touched the let's say the future perspective for T connectivity. So as we all know, T is very famous leading manufacturing company of different electrical and electronic components worldwide. And then nowadays, our strategy is actually a little bit to involving our roles in order to be a more solution provider. So not only about single products or single, let's say, elements, and we really want to be the expert from the application point of view, and really to close to the customers to understand what kind of, let's say, comprehensive portfolio will be needed in this kind of applications. And in that case, we could even work more closely with customers. So this is basically one thing. So one thing is we are thinking about really working in that direction into the from the product provider into a solution provider. So in many cases, we have already, let's say, for our strategic focused applications, we have already, let's say, some experts have very good knowledge in terms of the application expertise, and then we are offering let's say one-stop shop solutions, which is basically we have a comprehensive portfolio from T point of view, can really satisfy all kinds of needs which are from the components point of view into that application. So this is one of the examples that I would like to mention. Another example is also about the value-added service. So for some product lines, we have also started to think about instead of just offering like physical product, what could be something more we could do from the point of view. So actually, we're also working with some of our customers in order to understand what is their let's say needs from the subsystem point of view, because sometimes they are not looking only for single products, but for already assembling the like subsystem sub application. So from that point of view, for some of our products that we already started this kind of, let's say, idea and concept to work together with customers for the, let's say, sub-application solution provider. So this is basically the second example that I would to bring on the table, which is more service-oriented to the end customers. So let's see, just to summarize, I think that it is very important for the companies nowadays to really, let's say, think about their like strong point, and also look at about the what is the market trends and customer trends, and really to make the improvement and evolving along the way. So that is also one of the, let's say, strengths from T point of view, and we are trying to really move in that way together with our customers.
Yeah, and certainly what I've seen from the T community on EV infrastructure, you have some really relevant resource materials for people to look at, to familiarize themselves with about the whole infrastructure in general. So what we'll do, we'll probably put some links in the article that goes along with this this video as well. Just a couple of points before we finish. So I really appreciate you taking the time and talking to us from a TE perspective. I just want to look at maybe the future of charging. So EVs and charging, the biggest hurdle to overcome for a more widespread adoption of EVs, is it infrastructure? Is it public charging points? You've got the urban and the rural living. You've got charging speeds. Is there anything that you think may be a hurdle that we need to overcome?
From my point of view, definitely this is one of the consideration, right? So if we look at about actually the ratio between the EVs in with the charging facilities we have in different countries, so almost everywhere we see this kind of, let's say, lack of the infrastructures to really support about the adoption of EV. And for some countries, especially that we see from a statistical point of view, that when the customers has been asked the questions, will you consider to buy an EV in the next 2 to 3 years? I think that maybe, for example, in some countries, even up to 30 or 40% of the people who has been asked this question, the answer is no, because of the concern about that they were not have enough charging when they are traveling around. So this is a big issue. So from my point of view, of course, if we want to actually increase adoption of the EV, then it is actually very important to have the sufficient charging infrastructures everywhere. However, it is always a chicken and egg situation, right? So sometimes I think that there is, let's say, not enough charging infrastructures because of actually not enough people having the EVs running around the city. So that's why also, for example, from the infrastructure point of view, the let's say the governments or the industry, like the EV charging industries, they have like limited interest really to make a massive investment in that area. So from EV point of view, I think that is also a second important consideration for the increasing of the adoption of EVs. And for this point, from my point of view, actually the government should actually play a fundamental role here. Because to adopt any kind of new technologies, that actually at the beginning point of view, you always need some kind of let's say help from the government to give, for example, the incentives and bonuses, and to really, let's say, lower the financial burdens from the consumers in order to facilitate them to adopt these new technologies. So I would really I think that the government should play an important role here. And then, of course, it's about the raising the public awareness about the sustainability and like issues, and think about to really using the clean technologies and EVs can really, let's say, change our environment, not only for us, but also for the next and the future generations. And that kind of awareness should be also raised from the public point of view. And only by doing all of those kind of different things from different angles, I think that can really help the situation to really increase the adoption of EVs and increasing of the installation of the EV charging infrastructures more widely or worldwide.
Yeah. I just want to finish on, maybe if we touch upon what we think might be the biggest opportunity for the future of EV charging. So where I live, what I see a lot is these e-bikes, e-scooters, single use, take you from A to B. But for me, it's apparent that the opportunity from EVs is either going to be the improvement in the battery technology, or the charging, or both. Now, I just wonder, Zhao, if you have any kind of opinion on that.
Yeah, I think that one is, you absolutely made a point, right? So from the battery technology point of view, actually in the past we had the consideration or concerns that those batteries will be really, let's say, how do you say, not performing as it has as a conventional like conventional passenger cars, right? And that is something that I think that along the year, the battery industry is trying to really improve the performance. And for some like big battery manufacturers, they have launched different kind of new technologies, really to improve the battery performance in a different kind of temperature conditions, and also, for example, the charging and discharging cycle. They have improved really a lot of this kind of technical parameters in order to make sure that in the future, that batteries will be used more like in a more reliable way for the consumers. So I'm not that concerned about the battery technologies for electric vehicles. I would more concerned about the adoption in the, let's say, the economic turning point, right? So it becomes really affordable to everyone, and also, for example, government support, and also enough like charging infrastructures in general. So I think that we are still in the early stage for the adoption, but I'm quite confident and optimistic about the future about EVs and EV infrastructures in general.
Fantastic. Zhao, I really do thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. It's been such an interesting conversation about the infrastructure around EVs, but also listening to how you're actually approaching the technology with your products and delivering solutions, which I really do like to hear. So thanks for your time for joining us on DesignSpark, and I hope we can have you on DesignSpark sometime soon.
Thank you very much, Rick, for inviting me. It is also my pleasure to join this session. I hope that I have provided some interesting information, and nice to share here. Looking forward to see you soon in the future.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.